Morning. Good morning. So we shall discuss some concepts of module 4 today. Right? So the first important question that you will be getting in this module 4 is explain three-dimensional viewing pipeline. Okay, three-dimensional viewing pipeline. So yes, this viewing pipeline we have come across in two dimension, and here also we come across with respect to three-dimensional viewing pipeline. Okay, fine. So this is fourth module. If you get the question like explain the viewing pipeline in the third question, okay, that is with respect to module that is with respect to two-dimensional viewing pipeline. So if you get the same question, obviously, right, 99% of the times, whenever they need to ask this viewing pipeline of three-dimensional, they will ask this. Uh, they will ask clearly as explain three-dimensional viewing pipeline. If they just ask explain viewing pipeline in fourth module, that means you need to explain the viewing pipeline of three-dimensional. Okay, so now basically what is a viewing pipeline? So basically what is a viewing pipeline in the sense, pipeline means what is the process, okay, right? What is the process of the object which is there, which we see with our bare eyes, right? And the process between the object that we see with our bare eyes and the object that we capture. Whenever we try to capture any object with the camera or with our mobile or anything, right? What are the process that happens? Okay, that is what we call it as viewing pipeline. Okay, fine. So as we have seen in the previous viewing pipelines, right, there are 5 steps. First is modeling transformation, next is viewing transformation, next is projection transformation, next is normalized transformation, last one is viewport transformation. Okay, first let us see what is modeling transformation. Modeling coordinates are fed to modeling transformation. So what do you mean by modeling coordinates? Modeling coordinates means each and individual coordinates of the object that are there in the scene. Okay, right? For example, there may be a square in the scene, there may be a circle in the scene, there may be sphere in the scene. Okay, right? Each of these has their own individual coordinate system. For example, whenever I take square, right, it will be having a spherical coordinate system. Fine. If I have any rectangle or something, right, it is very convenient that if I write that in a Cartesian coordinate system, it is very easy for me, or it is very convenient for me, right? So like this, each and individual things that are there in this, each individual object that are there in the scene will be having their own coordinates. Okay, right? So one simple example is, right, for example, if you see any photo session, okay, right, photo session in any marriage hall or anything, right? So whenever a group photo comes into picture, right? So group photo means large number of people will be there. Fine. So you can see that, right? All the people will not be of same height, right? Or will not be of same dimension. Right? That is modeling coordinate. Each and individual people will be of different types of different height, of different posture, like this. Fine. That means each and every object has its own individuality. Fine. So those individual coordinates, I need to do something, some transformation, right? So all those people or all those things will be captured, or all those peoples fit into my actual scene. Okay, that is world coordinates. Fine. So what I'm trying to tell is, right, for example, whenever you see a photo session, right, there will be a black background scene around 5 feet or 5 feet, 5.5 feet. Okay, fine, right? So now even a person of 6.5 feet should fit into that 5.5 feet background scene. Correct. Fine. And even the person even a small baby which is of 1 feet or half a feet, right, that baby should also be clearly visible in that photo frame, right? So what transformation that photographer does so that all the people will fit into that background scene, or all the people will be fit into one scene correctly, right? What he does, what transformation he does, right? what he does is, right, the people who is very short, right, he will ask them to sit on the ground. He may ask them to sit on the ground, right? And the small baby or something, right, small children who are there, right, so of 1 feet or 2 feet, they will be not visible clearly. So what the photographer may ask, he may ask to say, he may place those babies on a bench or something, right? This is the transformation he does, right, so that each and individual person will be fitted to the scene. Okay, that means to the world coordinates. Fine. So now here also, fine, in my computer graphics, right, whenever I need to capture anything, fine, first each individual coordinates which are there, some modeling transformation will happen so that all those objects will fit into my world coordinates. It is very similar to that. Even a 6.5 feet person, right, if we bend him, or if we ask him to knee down, he will come into the frame. A small baby which is 2.5 feet, if I ask that baby to stand on a bench, right, that baby will also be clearly visible on the visible in the scene. The same thing happens here. Okay, modeling transformation, where each and individual coordinates, right, which the objects have been defined, all those will be brought into a single frame. Okay, that is world coordinates. Okay, once everything has brought into this world coordinates, what is the next thing that I need to do, right? And the next thing that I'm supposed to do is, right, I need to go with viewing transformation. Okay, so that I convert all those things to viewing coordinates. Okay, what does this viewing transformation means? What happens in this viewing transformation? See, yes, now the scene is now all the people have been occupied into a single scene. Okay, fine, world coordinate. So now what the photographer does? Photographer using his tripod, fine, right? So he will move to some distance, fine, and he will keep the camera on the tripod, and he tries to move the camera up, down, all those things, sideways, everything. He tries to move the camera, right, so that the image is very clear. Correct, right? So he tries to move it to left, tries to move it to right, tries to move it upwards, tries to move it downwards, right, so that shading, all those things should will not be happening to any of the person in the scene. All the person should be clearly visible. Okay, right? So that is what viewing transformation happens. Okay, where the camera will be moved up, down, sideways, right, all the things, all these interventions will happen, and we'll see that, right, all the objects are clearly visible. Okay, once all the objects are clearly visible, okay, right, that means all the objects have been converted to correct viewing coordinates, right, such that in that coordinate, okay, all the objects are clearly visible. There is no shadowing for any of the object, right? One object may be very close to another object, okay, right, so that the shadow of that object may fall on another object, so that that object may not be visible. Fine, all these things will be eliminated, right, by again reviewing or reconstructing the coordinates. That means they will place the, in viewing transformation, right, you will place the objects somewhat far, right, so that no shadow of that object will fall on the other object and it disturbs that object. Fine, right? So all these things happens in viewing transformation. Okay, right? And finally viewing coordinates of all the objects will be set such that all the objects are clearly visible. Okay, right, without shadowing, right, or anything that happens. Okay, fine. So now once the viewing coordinates have been set clearly, okay, right, so that means yes, all my objects are clearly placed. Fine, so that none of the shadowing of the object or no shyness of the object, that is that nothing inconvenience for that object has been happened. Fine, next those coordinates will move to the projection transformation. Okay, what happens in projection transformation? What is projection? Right, whenever you may have heard the word called projecting. Okay, right, so projecting is with the lens. Okay, viewing transformation is with the camera. Okay, right? Camera and lens are two different things. Fine. So camera will move up and down, and you will fix the camera such that all the things are clearly visible. So next you will come for projection transformation, where in this projection transformation you will try to zoom in or zoom out the object. Okay, right? How much that object needs to be zoomed in, how much that object needs to be zoomed out, right? All those projections, right? You will set in this projection transformation, and this view coordinates will be converted to projection coordinates. Okay, right? So now everything is ready. Okay, fine. I have set the coordinates of the object so that there is no overlapping, there is no shadowing, all those things, right? And after that, I have also finally refined those coordinates, right, such that the zooming of those objects, zoom in or zoom out of the objects are also clearly defined. And finally, we have this projection coordinates. Okay, basically we had modeling coordinates, that means individual coordinates of the object. All those coordinates we brought it into a single frame, that is world coordinates. Once it was brought into the world coordinates, next it got converted to viewing coordinates. Okay, right? And then it got converted to projection coordinates. Okay, right? Now finally this projection coordinates is completely ready. Okay, ready to be displayed. Fine. So now these coordinates have been completely ready to be displayed, but the problem is, right, whenever I need to view it on any of my device coordinates will be not same as the actual coordinates that I have modified. Because, right, whenever I take a screen, right, all the screen are not of same size. If you take small mobile, the screen will be less. If you take big mobile, screen will be more. If I take laptop, right, screen will be more. If I take projector, the screen size will be different. Fine. So what I need to do, right? So usual thing, I will bring all these coordinates into a standard coordinate, that is called as normalized transformation. Okay, normalized coordinates by the process of normalized transformation, where I bring all the coordinates between 0 and 1. Okay, right? So that based on my device screen size, right, I can multiply those coordinates with normal coordinates, and I can bring that to the normal, the correct size as per my display. Right? So for example, if I have brought everything to normalized coordinate, that means from 0 to 1, right? That means, right, if the width I have brought it to 0.8, and if the height I have brought it to 0.5, okay, right? So I will come to this device, I will see the device, right? The length of the device is 5 inch and the height of this, that is 4 inch. So what I will do, 0.8 is the width that I have brought, I have minimized, normalized, right? So I will multiply 0.8 with the width of the device. I will multiply the 0.5 what I have brought the normalized height with the height of the device, so that appropriate images I will get it according to my device sizes. Okay, right? That is what viewport transformation will happen. Fine, right? And I will get the final device coordinates as per the device sizes. Okay, right? So this is about three-dimensional viewing pipeline. Okay, and another thing, what important thing that happens in this viewport transformation is, right, so basically this three-dimensional viewing pipeline is converting my 3D image to 2D image. Okay, right? So why? Because, right, actual image I will be having 3D image. Consider a three-dimensional frequency gasket that you have seen in your lab, or color cube, or anything, three-dimensional images, right? So now, so those images, when I bring that to device, okay, when I need to see it in the device, my devices are not 3D, right? My devices are 2D devices, where I can view only 2D images. So this viewport transformation, right, all the things what I have in normalized coordinates, x, y, z part, right, all those z part will be eliminated, and it gives only x and y part to the device coordinates as device coordinates to the devices. Okay, so So what is the main thing in this two-dimensional viewing pipeline, right? The main thing is this two-dimensional pipeline is converting a three-dimensional object or coordinates into a two-dimensional object, two-dimensional coordinates at the device end. Okay, right? Two-dimensional viewing pipeline, there is no such thing, right? The original image is also two dimension, right? And when the device coordinates should also be of two dimension. There is no problem. But this three-dimensional viewing pipeline, actual object will be three dimension, but when it comes to device, right, it will become two dimension. That part will be carried out by viewport transformation, which will nullify that z coordinate axis part, and it gives only x and y part to the device coordinates. Okay, this is an important question. Explain three-dimensional viewing pipeline. Okay, so next we shall come to very important concept of this fourth module, right? So which we call it as visible surface detection. Okay, fine, right? So this is with respect to our 3D object. Okay, right? So this is mainly corresponding, right, with respect to our 3D object. Okay, right? So visible surface detection. Okay. What is a first we shall go with the basics, right? And we shall try to get the logic of the things, and then we shall go further with this visible surface detection. Okay, right? So what is the first question? What is a visible surface? Fine. You can see here, right? So this is my object, a 3D object, right? Visible surface detection comes into picture only when we have 3D objects in hand. Okay, right? So now this is a 3D object. Okay, right? So now what is visible surface in this 3D object? Only this face, this face, this face, and this face. Only these four faces are visible if I see in this direction, and all other faces, right, are not visible. Okay, right? Fine. Even though that faces are there, only face which is visible is this face, right? And this face, fine, and part of this face. All other these faces are not visible. Okay, right? So this is what we define as visible surface. Okay, right? So yes, if I come to this particular cube, okay, right? This consider this cube as a three-dimensional cube. Okay, fine, right? So if I see from the front, okay, if I see from the front, right? So which surface you can see? Only this surface. Only this surface you can see, that's it, right? All other surface, top surface, bottom surface, side surfaces, back surfaces is not visible to you. Okay, right? So this surface which is visible to the user is called as a visible surface, and the surfaces which are not visible to the user, right, are called as invisible surfaces. Okay, now next question is, why I am talking about visible surfaces and invisible surfaces, right? There is a big question. Why this visible surface, invisible surfaces, right? I am talking about. See, the simple thing is, right? See, finally, when I write a 3D object, right, I will be sending the vertices, right, the edges of all these, all the components of this cube to my frame buffer to be displayed. Correct, right? But what is visible to my user? What is the visible to my user is only these four vertices and this one face, right? All other 1, 2, 3, 4, right? All other four vertices and all other faces are not visible to my user. Fine. So what the researchers thought was, right? So why to send the information of the back face simply to the frame buffer? It is just a memory consumption, and it is just an time consuming and space consuming part, right? Fine. Finally, from the frame buffer, when the information moves to my window or moves to my output device, right? Why should I send all these four vertices and all these face information to be displayed to the display? because anyway it is not visible to me. Only this 4 vertices and this face is visible to me, right? So it is enough if I just send 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices and this face information to the output device. There is no need of sending other vertex and other face information to my output device from the frame buffer, right? Anyway, it is not visible. Okay, that was the intelligent part, what the researchers thought, and that gave rise to this visible surface detection theory. Okay, right? So now, if I say that, right, only this send the only visible surfaces to the output device from the frame buffer, right? My computer should successfully identify which is the visible surface. Okay, right? That means which is the front face, which is the back face. Okay, right? So that it can send only the information of the front face to the output device and it will be displayed, and the information of the back face it will not render it to the output device. Okay, that becomes a huge research area in the computer graphics for determining, right, which is the front face and which is the back face, right? So that all the back face information can be neglected from rendering it to the output, and we can send only the front face information to the uh, that is only front face information can be rendered to the output device. Okay, right? So here came the classification, different types of classifications of visible surface detection methods. Fine. So the first method was called as object space method, and second method was called as image space method. Okay, coming to this object space method. Fine. What this object space method considered for detecting whether a face is a back face or front face. Right? It compared the objects and part of the objects to which to to each to each other within the scene definition to determine which surface as a whole should be labeled as visible, right? So this is an example for object space. Okay, right? It compared the parts of the objects, right? So to parts of the object that are available to determine which is the front face and which is the back face. That means, right? So it took this edges is a part, right, of the object, right? It took complete edges, and these edges were determined whether it is a front face or a back face edge. How it is determined? We have algorithms which we will discuss next. Okay, right? Now I'm just discussing about techniques. Okay, right? So what object space method told, it took the part of the object and decided whether that part comes in front face or that part comes in back face. Okay, right? So one part of the object may be edges. Okay, right? See here, what the solid edges are there, right? They consider those as the front face. That means those are visible to me, right? And what these dotted edges, what is there, right? They consider that as the back edges. Right? That is one way of classifying, right? Taking the parts of the object and classifying that part as a back face or front face. Right? So coming to the second method, right? So it was image space method, where the visibility means, right, it is a front face or a back face, is decided point by point at each pixel position on the projection plane, right? So coming to this image space method, right? Image space method took each pixel on each surface and it decided whether that pixel is a front face or a back face. Okay, right? Here it took complete edge only. Okay, right? And it was considering that complete edge as front face or back face. But here it was pixel by pixel examination, right? It was taking each pixel of each face and it was determining whether, right? So that is a front face or a back face. Okay, fine, right? So we have one each algorithm for object space method and image space method. Okay, Now, first we shall discuss the algorithm that is there for object space method. Right? What object space method tells, right? Object space method tells, right? I will take a part of the object, and for that part of the object, I will decide whether that part belongs to visible face or invisible, or that is front face or back face. Okay. So yes, back face detection algorithm. Okay, backface detection algorithm is a object space method. Okay, right? So it is a fast and a simple object space method for locating the back faces of the polyhedron or polygon in general. Okay, right? So this was used to detect back face. Okay, once I detect the back face, right, all other faces are front faces. Fine, I did not have to detect back face and front face separately. Fine. So what this backface detection algorithm was doing was, right, it was using the concept of simple object space method, and it was locating the back faces of any polygon. Okay, right? So now I will tell you, right, how this backface detection algorithm, fine, right? So the what logic this backface algorithm method used to detect, right, whether a face is a front face or a back face. Fine. So now consider this is my object. Okay, right? This is my object. This is my camera. Camera means this is the viewer. Okay, right? If I am viewing here, okay, right? Which surface will be visible? This surface will be visible, and this surface will not be visible for me. Correct, huh? Right? So I will take a point on the back face, and I will tell, right, what are the prerequisites for say of an part of an object to be called as a back face. Okay, there is no meaning in taking the object on the front face, because this is back face algorithm, not front face algorithm. Fine, right? So now first I need to, if I take any point, okay, right, first I need to check out whether that point is on the object or not, right? So before I decide, right, whether the object, whether that particular point on that face is a back face or front face, first I need to determine whether that particular point, right, lies on that object. If the point lies on that object, next I can decide whether that is a front face or a back face. Okay, fine, right? So now, right, any face you take it, right? So that will be represented by x, y, and z. Okay, x coordinate, y coordinate, and z coordinates, where a, b, c are the coefficients. That is polygon coefficients you have. Fine, right? So now, if ax plus by plus cz plus d is a constant, right? So e is turned out to be less than 0. Then I was considering, right, that the object, that particular point is on the object. Still, I have not come to determining front face or back face. I'm just still now determining, right, the particular point which I'm selecting is on the object or outside the object. Okay, right? So now if ax, x, y, and z are the coordinate axes, okay, right? So a, b, and c are the coefficients, okay, right? So if ax plus by plus cz plus d, which is constant, turned out to be less than 0, fine, right? So then I considered that object is on the, that particular point is on the object. Okay, once it turned out to be less than 0, that means once I confirm that that particular point is on the object, next I will go for determining whether that particular point is on the back face of the object or on the front face of the object. Okay, right? Now we shall see this explanation. Okay, right, how to detect back face once we see the things, once we get the clear explanation of the things. Okay, let us go for the explanation of back face. Yes, now coming to this explanation of the back face, right? See here, fine. This is my camera and this is my object. Okay, right? So now I will tell you the first method to detect whether it's a back face or a front face. Right? Now consider that right here is my camera and I am viewing in this particular direction. This is my vector, viewing vector. Okay, and the point which I have chosen is here. Okay, right? If I'm seeing the cube to from the front side, right? Does this side appear? Does this side appears for me? No, right? This side will be hidden. Only this face will be visible for me. This all other faces will not be visible for me, right? So I'm taking a point on the back face. Okay, right? Back face means the face that which is not visible for me. Fine. So now, if the camera viewing and point on the plane are in the same direction or lies on the plane, we say that, right? Technically, we say that, right? If the camera viewing vector and the point on the polygon vector lies on the plane. Okay. So coming to ordinary wordings, we say that, right? If the camera viewing and the point on the polygon are in the same direction. Okay, right? See here, this camera viewing vector is also in this direction. And if my light is falling here, right? What is the direction of this? This point is also towards this direction. Okay, if the light is falling like this, if the light falls like this, right, obviously the direction of the point is also towards this. That means, right, so we take this vector as a normal vector, right? That means the vector coming out of my considered point. Okay, this is viewing vector. Okay, right? If both the vectors are in the same direction, here both the vectors are in the same direction, right? So then I consider that particular point as a back face. Okay, right? If the camera viewing and the point on the polygon are in the same direction, yes, both are in the same direction. So I consider that surface as a back face. Fine, right? So that means this is a theoretical information, right? Let us prove that mathematically. Fine, right? So what do you mean by that? When I say both V and N are in the same direction, okay, right? That mathematically means, right? So this viewing vector, the dot product of viewing vector and the normal vector. Normal vector means the vector that is coming out of my point. Okay, viewing vector means, right, the vector that is coming out of the camera. Okay, right? So if the dot product of my viewing vector and the normal vector is greater than 0, that means both are in the same direction. Okay, right? Then that means if both are in the same direction, that surface is a back face, which means that, right, then the face is hidden. That is back face. Okay, let us see here, right, how I prove that, right? So if both are in the same direction, right, so that particular point is a back face which I select. So now if the dot product of viewing vector and normal vector is greater than 0, that means that, right, Vn cos theta is greater than 0, where this V and N I have taken modulus. Okay, modulus means, right, there is no consideration of positive and negative sign, all are positive, right? So if V and it may be positive, negative, it doesn't matter for me, right? The things that matter for me here to be greater than 0, or less than 0 is the value of this theta. Okay, right? So now see here, if that means, right, if cos theta, right, if it is between 0 and 1, that means V dot product of V and N is greater than 0. Correct, right? If the value of this cos theta is between 0 and 1, right, then I can say this V dot N is greater than 0, because the sign of V and N are taken modulus, so there is no concept of less than 0 for V and N, whatever it may be, the values, right? What changes is the value of my cos theta. Okay, right? If the value of my cos theta is between 0 and 1, right, so it will be greater than 0. If my cos theta is between 0 and 1, means what should be the angle of theta? It should be between 0 and 90. Okay, right? if the theta is between 0 and 90, then the value of Vn cos theta will be greater than 0. Correct? 0 means, right, cos 0. What is value of cos 0? That is left. What is value of cos 0? Cos 1, right? That is, it lies between 0 and 90 degrees. That means the value will be between 0 and 1. Let us prove it. Right? So what happens when theta, when the value of my theta becomes greater than 90, right? How the visible face, invisible face becomes visible, and I will prove it, right? If the theta value is between 0 and 90, right? How my face is invisible for me, right? Now see here, this V, angle between V and N. What is the angle between V and N? It is 180 degree or 0 degree. Correct, right? Because both are in the same plane. Fine, right? So it is, both are in the same plane. Fine, right? So what I mean to say is, right, see here, right? So both V and N, how it is looking, right? It is looking like a straight line. Okay, right? That means the angle is 0. Right? So when the angle is 0, yes, it is the value will be that is greater than or equal to 0. Actually, it is, right? So the value will be 0. Fine, right? So that means it is a back face. Now consider, right, this cube is rotating. Cube is rotating. Okay, fine, right? So consider the cube starts rotating. Consider the cube starts rotating like this. Okay, right? When it rotates 90 degree, right, where will the point which is here comes? If it rotates like this, right? So the point from here, it comes to this place. Correct? Huh? Point will come to this place. Fine. So now what will be the angle between this V and N? See here, V will be like this, straight line V, right? And what will be, if the point is here, what will be the N vector? N vector will be upwards. Correct? Huh? Right? So that means the N vector will be like this. Fine. Now what is the angle between this and this? It is 90 degree, right? 90 degree means, yes, still it is invisible. Correct, right? If it is on the top also, it is not visible for me if I'm seeing from the front, right? Now if it crosses 90 degree, that means if it starts rotating above 90 degree, if it starts rotating, okay, above 90 degree, if it starts rotating, right? So what happens, this point which is here will start rotating like this, right? When it starts rotating like this, when it comes to almost between when almost it comes more than 190 degree, right? Imagine that, right? When it starts rotating like this above, from above to below, right? This point will be visible for me. Correct? Huh? This point will be visible for me. Goes on, visibility goes on increasing, right? So above 90 means, right, the value will be value becomes negative, cos of 90. Okay, more than cos of 90, the value becomes negative. When the value becomes negative, this becomes less than 0, cos theta. When cos theta becomes less than 0, right, then that becomes a front face. Concept is clear, right? So that is the first point what they say, right? V dot N should be greater than 0. Then I say the face is a back face. Fine, right? So that means, right, the angle between V and N should, the difference between the angle of V and N should maximum be 90 degree. Okay, then only the object will be invisible. If the angle between the viewing vector and normal vector crosses more than 90 degree, the image starts appearing for me. Right? Let us see what they have said. Yes, right? So if V of U dot N is greater than 0, right, then the face is a back face, right? We can simplify the back face test by considering the direction of normal vector N, and the polygon surface. If V is a view, if V view is a vector in the viewing direction from our camera position, as shown in the figure, this is view. Okay, this is n. Right? Then the polygon is a backface if V dot n, that is dot product of V and n, is greater than 0. This is what we checked now. Okay, right? Now let us go to the next thing which tells, right, it is a backface. Okay, this is one of the approach to tell whether the face is a back face or front face, right? Now we shall go to the another technique where it says, right, it's a front face or a back face. The same thing I've taken my point here only, right? Now let us take x, y, and z axis. X axis is this, y axis is this, and this is positive z axis, and this is negative z axis, right? Students, hear it carefully. This is a very important part. Fine. Very important point which I'm telling you. Whenever I have x, y, and z axis, okay, right, and whenever I am viewing anything, right, so how do I view? I view from this direction. I view like this, correct, right? So whenever I am viewing anything, right, that viewing will be parallel to z axis. That viewing will be parallel to z-axis. This is the thing that they consider in each and every textbook where they discuss three-dimension viewing. Okay, right? Whenever I am viewing anything in the three-dimension, right, they consider that always I will be viewing that parallel to z-axis. Okay, right? So x and y doesn't come into picture for me, as I am viewing along x, as I am viewing along z-axis. Okay, right? With that prerequisite, let us go to the backface detection, another method, right? So now, with that, right, what will be V? V, viewing, right? See, viewing, right? I don't consider x and y, because, right, whenever I say viewing, right, I will be always viewing along z-axis. So what is my coordinate for V? My coordinate for V is 0, 0 for x and y, and for z it is Vz, because I am viewing along z-axis in 3 dimensions. Okay, right? So now let us come to this n. What will be the value of n? Okay, right? So n has some value of x, some value of y, some value of z. Correct, right? That I call it as ai, bj, ck. Okay, x, y, and z values of normal vector. Okay, fine, right? So now we shall take this dot product of v dot n. Okay, what is the dot product of v dot n? Right? So let us multiply v with n. Right? So x-axis of v with x-axis of n. Right? So y-axis of v with y-axis of n, and z-axis of v with z-axis of n. Right? That is 0 into ai. 0 into ai is 0. 0 into bj is 0. Bz into ck. Right? So v dot n, x and y axis multiplication, it will be 0, and only z axis portion comes into picture, and I say v dot n is equal to vz dot c. Right? So now, based on this, right, how do we decide whether it's a back face or a front face? Right? If the sign of c, that means the sign of c decides the back face or front face here. Okay, right? So now, what the sign of c? The sign of c means it is plus or minus. Okay, right? So let us see what is the expression for that. If we are viewing from positive z-axis to negative z-axis, that means if you are viewing like this, that means if we are viewing from positive z-axis to negative z-axis, okay, that means if my view is like this, okay, then if we are viewing from positive z-axis to negative z-axis, then c is negative. Okay, then c is negative. If you are viewing from positive z-axis to negative z-axis, c is negative. Now in this case, right, I am viewing from positive to negative z-axis, and my c is negative. If c is negative, then the face of the point is back. right? So now what is the formula that I have? V dot vz dot c. So based on the sign of c, right, it decides whether that particular point is a back face or a front face. If c is negative, then I say that point is back face. If c is positive, then I say that point is back face. Now, how the sign of c decides? If I am viewing from positive z axis to negative z axis, then the sign of c is negative. Okay, right? So now the current situation is that where I am viewing from positive z to negative z. So the sign of c becomes negative, and the face will be back face. Now, if I am viewing in opposite direction like this, okay, right? That means like this. If I'm viewing from negative z to positive z, okay, right? If we are viewing from negative z to positive z, then c is positive and the face of the point is front face. Okay, if we are viewing from negative z to positive z, then the sign of c is positive, and if the sign of c is positive, the point is in front face. Fine. Now let us see how they have discussed that. In a right-handed viewing system, you don't worry about much of this, right? In a viewing system, with the viewing direction along the negative ZV axis, right? A polygon is a back face if the Z component C of its normal vectorial satisfies C is less than 0. That means if C is less than 0, right, of the Z component of my V vector, correct, then if it is the face is back face, and if C is equal to 0 also, right, the face is back face. Only when C is positive, that means only when I am viewing from negative Z to positive Z, C becomes positive, and only that particular condition, my point becomes a front face. Okay, this is about discussion of back face detection algorithm. Okay, right? So in the next class, I will discuss an algorithm related to image space method. Okay, which is a very important method and which is very interesting, right? So we shall see it in next class.